When we're talking about avoiding mycotoxins in the entire food chain, which is certainly relevant for the industry, we have already to consider pre-harvest options. So actually we have to prevent the mycotoxin formation on the field, which includes a couple of measures like early warning indicators for mold growth, or the using plants which have got a genetically based resistance against invasions by fungi, to name a few. But then there are also post-harvest options like proper storage of the grain, so they have to be dried down, and also there are sensors now available which can indicate the growth of fungi on storage and the formation of mycotoxins. So, and towards the end of the chain is also about what is the behavior of mycotoxins, for instance, during thermal processing of the food. How do mycotoxin possibly be inactivated or bound to matrices conjugated. So these are all aspects which have to be considered in order to make sure that the food industry is able to provide the consumer with mycotoxin-free food. Mycotoxin analysis has tremendously developed over the last decade with the implementation of liquid chromatography, tandem mass spectrometry. So this technique has become the technique of major use in the area of mycotoxin analysis. This LC-MS approach does not only enable us to cover a wide range of different secondary metabolites, including autoregulating mycotoxins, but also providing a tool to rapidly screen, quantify, and also identify these toxins which could be of interest, but also considering some other potentially toxic secondary metabolites even beyond those which have already been identified as mycotoxins. Emerging mycotoxins, that's certainly a very fancy expression, so kind of a buzzword, so to speak. Many of the so-called emerging mycotoxins I would call as neglected mycotoxins, such as ergot alkaloids, which have been known to be around for a long time, but now they show up in some areas in the world. On the one hand, some increased incidence, but on the other hand, it's mainly improved analytical methodology which enable us all of a sudden to see some new emerging mycotoxins which have already been known before, but not at such a high frequency. So we're meaning that emerging mycotoxin is an expression which you might use in the context of improved analytical methodology. But on the other hand, certainly there is also climate change which makes the occurrence of mycotoxin and the fungi producing these toxins pretty much unpredictable. Finally, there is also plant breeding efforts on the way where we are now dealing with genotypes which have got a genetically based resistance against the Fusarium invasion, to name an example here. And in this regard, there is a change in the spectrum of mycotoxins which are conjugated, detoxified on the field by resistant plants, and which changes gradually also the spectrum of mycotoxins and their conjugates in the food products.